Have you ever felt like all you have to do is sit back and wait for someone to make all of your dreams come true? The mindset that profit and happiness originate from some outside source is untrue. What you have within you is the power. Essentially, this first part of our journey will be focused on the tough things people don't speak about when it comes to individual accountability and development. Do you have a problem with wishing someone else had different expectations of you? Do you wish to develop ability for living through and build a life for yourself? If so, you're in the right place. This lecture will make you question everything you ever thought you knew about happiness and empower you to start creating it for yourself. We will discuss how to put a stop to codependency and how you can learn to be self-sufficient in the aspect of joy and success. By the end, you will have tangible understanding that has the potential of redesigning the ways you look at life and the people in it. So, is it time to proceed to this learning process with me? Let's get started. I assume you probably can relate with this feeling where somewhere in the back of your mind, you'll think someone else will do it for you. But here's the thing. Self-fulfillment and achievement is found where an individual manages his own life. I picture myself waking in the morning with a positive approach and the goal set to develop myself personally. Employers don't owe you that promotion, and no one owes it to you to ensure your dreams come to pass. Why wait? Have specific goals for yourself, whether it is mastering a new skill or buying the stock of a company you want to have a stake in. For instance, if you have a dream of becoming a graphic designer, it is not a bad idea to take an online course. This is how, when striving for your dreams, you don't only develop your talents and abilities but help create a better future for yourself. Not to mention, and come on, who doesn't like the idea of earning money while doing something they enjoy? So, next time you catch yourself hoping someone else will make things great, remember, the power is in your hands. Incidentally, it should be mentioned that power relates to expectations and how these arise and can influence the behavior in relationships with other people. People often assume that people want the same thing and that they need the same things in order to be successful. Sometimes you might be having an idea about your friend or your colleague that they will never perceive in themselves. But here's the kicker. Thus, to optimistic people with bright intentions, we should simply add that not everyone seeks such things. This can cause frustration when you want other people also to work for the achievement of things that you believe in. So in this case, rather than challenging them to become what you want, it's best to embrace their life's path. For example, should an employee be indifferent to promotions and happy to be in their office, then it simply may be that this employee does not take the promotions ladder seriously due to the need to balance between work and personal obligations. The flexibility you show to others in their strivings also provide resilience in the connections you share as well as enable personal success. I want you to remember that you don't have to choose the path in life that everyone around you is on. You do not have to suffer abuse from others to become a better person. Of course, as you ponder how you look at other people's possibility, you should try to conceive how such perspective can improve your relationships and cause interaction to become more enriching. Speaking of connections, let's focus on such aspect as effective communication, and here are some tips. Were you ever annoyed because a person did not follow through on what you wanted him or her to do and you never clearly told the person? What she did was a typical example of taking for granted that others can guess what you intend to do next, which is always a disaster. Interpersonal communication is ultra important since relationships can either be built and strengthened, or strains or lack of understanding created and aggravated. Of course, it would be much better not relying on someone to guess what you need and instead, say it loud. For instance, if you are working in a group project and have insights into the manner that the same should be done, do not shy and keep to yourself. This also enables other people to know your views and also encourages people to forward their opinions without experience neglect. Indeed, when you communicate, you must not only be enhancing cooperation, but also eradicating stressful strains arising out of unfulfilled expectations. So, do not hesitate to state your needs and wants on your own. What you will learn from this practice is that you are able to develop better relationships and improve your life in general. Well, now that we've determined what can go wrong with communication, let's consider what it means to seek for happiness within instead of others. Dependence on others for their happiness is a dangerous game to play. I know it's a common mistake to expect your partner, friend, or a family member to meet your emotional needs, but it's an unbearable load for the other person. Happiness is the state of the mind and is an inside job that requires people to love themselves. Consider waking up every morning and before going about your day, purpose to thank yourself for something and for what you have in your life, no matter how small. This simple action may change your direction, and you'll define yourself that you are the giver of happiness. When you work towards the betterment of the self, you are prepared to handle pressure and you gain more strength. Furthermore, when those internal desires are met, the external trends that govern human relationships tend to be more satisfying when they are established not upon need, but on interdependence. So, engage in stuff that makes you happy, be it painting, hiking, or even reading a book that you've had on your stand for a while. When you cultivate happiness, you create the basis for a better future full of real relationships. The next concept is ready-made for a closer look: the ability to accept change in ourselves and in people around us. Growth is life's reality and is therefore important to pinpoint that though unwise to wish those around us to change, not everyone will. When people are on their personal development process, they discover they are changing as they grow, and sometimes this change may lead to drifting apart from friends or relatives. This is not failure, not at all. This is simply a signal of adaptability and growth as a person. In case you have just decided to take up meditation and your friends are still in their old habits, it is okay to admit that you are no longer in the same world. Instead of threatening to leave them wishing that they could understand your new lifestyle, introduce them to your experiences to possibly convince them to join you engaging in an activity that has positive impacts on health, such as yoga class or a wellness retreat. That way you enrich your own life and also give them an opportunity to maybe seek a change in their life. Implicit in embracing change is the reality that change begets variation in as much as relationship dynamics are concerned that are equally liberating in as much as new relationships are concerned. Moving to that, it is perhaps befitting to discuss how we should handle our problems ourselves. It is the rule of life that changes are constant, and therefore, while, as a person, one may wish to do so, others around him may not. You may encounter a time when you change interests and now hold way different values than your friends or family members. To some of you, this is not a failure. It is strength, and growth that has arisen from within you. For instance, if they never practice any form of exercise and have not taken up the practice of meditation, and you have a practice and are new at it, you do not need to force yourself to be on their level. They don't have to comprehend your new way of living, so embrace the differences. They may not be able to respond positively to your invitation to join you in a shopping spree, but they can surely say yes to a yoga session or joining you in a wellness spa. This way, you are benefiting your own life while also giving those people opportunity to find a better option for them. Holding on to change within relationship dynamics means that the relationships may gel, but this also calls for adaptation to new relationships. When talking about opportunities, let's discuss how we should meet our problems by ourselves. World is always a difficult place to live, and as much as one would love to be a burden to someone, handling your problems on your own is the true power of an individual. To some extent, relying on others' work, on others' ideas, etc. can be very disappointing and frustrating. That is why you need to shun the notion of having other people provide solutions to your life, because you are the best place to do that. Consider this: responding to a financial loss, you would rather see what you have do to fix the situation instead of waiting for a friend to come and bail you out. This can mean building an emergency fund, coming up with ways to make more money, or getting a part-time job at a fulfilling activity such as freelance writing or selling arts and crafts online. Through the process of accepting our problems, we have not only developed some amount of strength, but have also achieved some form of personal development as we learn personal skills that helps to fix such problems. Furthermore, when people manage to handle their own difficulties, it feels like a great deal of accomplishment. It brings about the ability to make money and also make changes in life on your own. Therefore, next time you find yourself stressed up, do not panic, because you have the ability to come through it. Having discussed personal responsibility, let me share with you my thoughts on this principle. People will not like you. Let's face it, people will not always like what you do, and that is just fine as well. People have inherent desire to be accepted, but chasing it negatively affects you or your output in that process. There are too many directions to follow and too many opinions to take into consideration, and that is why if you attempt to make everyone happy, in the end you get lost. But remember that true is better than fake, and it is better to be yourself and show your individuality. For example, does one like dumb jokes, have a bizarre idea, or an interest in a vocation that might be considered hilarious? Go ahead and flaunt it. It is better to spend time with people who value you and your presence. These kinds of people will mean far more than the crowd. That is why, when you grow up, it becomes clear that when people stop impressing you, you'll stop disappointing yourself because you're creating a healthy foundation of relationship. Moreover, this line of thinking helps you to develop the thick skin. It makes you understand that rejection is just but a norm in the society. Therefore, take a deep breath and do not worry about people's need to express a positive verdict. Because acceptance has been addressed, this section will focus on the topic of reciprocity in interpersonal affairs. In any social interaction, whether with friends, family, or workmates, one is always willfully willing to push for more than he gets in return. It is possible to bend over backward to have someone's back, and then get disappointed when they do not do the same for you. But here's the reality. People have different values, and they may not be able to bring themselves in the exact manner which you would consider. Do not entertain the negative emotion of resentment. Instead, what should be focused is on controlling one's own behavior and motives. For instance, if you always plan with a friend who barely organizes outings with you, then you find other friends who will appreciate your efforts. It does not mean extrication. Instead, it means realizing that not every person will meet you halfway. By adopting such a mode of thinking, you will discover that your interactions are more enjoyable and less demanding. It's really all about making connections in a virtual environment that are important and resonate with the particular kind of person you are and the sort of person you are looking for. But remember that true is better than fake, and it is better to be yourself and show your individuality. For example, does one like dumb jokes, have a bizarre idea, or an interest in a vocation that might be considered hilarious? Go ahead and flaunt it. It is better to spend time with people who value you and your presence. These kinds of people will mean far more than the crowd. That is why, when you grow up, it becomes clear that when people stop impressing you, you'll stop disappointing yourself because you're creating a healthy foundation of relationship. Moreover, this line of thinking helps you to develop the thick skin. It makes you understand that rejection is just but a norm in the society. Therefore, take a deep breath and do not worry about people's need to express a positive verdict. Because acceptance has been addressed, this section will focus on the topic of reciprocity in interpersonal affairs. In any social interaction, whether with friends, family, or workmates, one is always willfully willing to push for more than he gets in return. It is possible to bend over backward to have someone's back, and then get disappointed when they do not do the same for you. But here's the reality. People have different values, and they may not be able to bring themselves in the exact manner which you would consider. Do not entertain the negative emotion of resentment. Instead, what should be focused is on controlling one's own behavior and motives. For instance, if you always plan with a friend who barely organizes outings with you, then you find other friends who will appreciate your efforts. It does not mean extrication. Instead, it means realizing that not every person will meet you halfway. By adopting such a mode of thinking, you will discover that your interactions are more enjoyable and less demanding. It's really all about making connections in a virtual environment that are important and resonate with the particular kind of person you are and the sort of person you are looking for. That is the reason whenever you are thinking about the relations, you must know that in most cases, if you want to have a great future, it is needed to be surrounded by people who really need you. Of course, appreciation can't be discussed without relating to how all of these ideas will help lead towards a life of more power and joy. So as we come to the final stage of this first part, it is necessary to gather the main ideas with which we could equip any project. Please, let me remind you that personal transformation journey begins with you taking the responsibility of becoming happy and successful. Let's apply these insights in your everyday life now. Consider how you can develop an individual mindset and learn to appreciate your trip rather than looking for approval from others. Based on these principles of personal power, we'll disclose more insights in the next video. This is only the start of biggest and most exciting change we are going to witness as a species. So if you got some ideas or thoughts that benefited you today, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notification. You will not want to leave this page when you'll read the next part with more tools to succeed in your studies. Are you ready for going the next level? Come on, mate, let's not let this die out, let's keep this going.